Hello, everybody. My name is Alix. I'm thrilled to be here. Thank you for having me. Do you guys have the slides on the monitor? Yeah? Okay. So back in January, I had coffee with a friend, and we were getting caught up talking about the year that had happened before us, talking about what had transpired. And she said to me that it had been the most stressful year of her life. Okay, so tell me more. So her dad had died, she lost her job, and her husband, this is the big one, who struggled with drug and alcohol addiction, overdosed, and was woken up by paramedics on Vancouver's downtown east side. So yeah, super stressful, absolutely. And she was holding on to that stress really tight, and it was affecting her both mentally and physically. So we all know the story about stress, right? Stress will kill us. It hijacks our brains so we can't think clearly. Anxiety, depression, addiction, brain fog, distraction, and it wrecks our bodies. Inflammation, heart disease, digestion issues, migraines, whatever it is, you can bet stress is to blame. So then we get the idea that we have to get rid of the stress, that the stress is bad. Erase it, crush it, delete it. And then we get stressed about the stress. And we spend hundreds of dollars, time, and energy trying to get rid of the stress. So there are so many things that we do in order to try to keep ourselves calm. Instead of just embracing the gifts that stress brings us, we might choose a weighted blanket, vitamin supplements, hot, cold plunges, I don't know, whatever it is. There's a million different things, right? Let's put that aside for a sec. So around the same time that I had coffee with my friend, I was also doing research for a new contract that I was working on. And the contract was working with high school athletes, elite hockey players. And the work that I was doing specifically was trying to figure out how they deal with stress. What I was wondering about is, I think we all can agree that it's almost like athletes have chosen stress to be part of their life. Over their lifetime, they're going to lose 50% of the time. They've got coaches, fans in their ear yelling at them about their performance. They've got a voice in their head telling them they're not good enough. Not to mention like game time decisions, where it's a high leverage moment where they have to execute. And if they fail, they're going to hear about it quite vocally from other people. My son is a professional baseball pitcher, and watching him go through the stressful moments that he's encountered in his career floors me, because it's not how I would deal with them. I would be a puddle on the ground. So I started wondering, how do these athletes process stress? And then more specifically, how do the rest of us, my friend in particular that I had coffee with, deal with the stress? And how do we do that better? So bear with me for a sec. We're going to do a really quick neuroscience lesson. Voila, your beautiful brain. We're going to talk about two different parts of the brain. This will be quick. So the very back of your brain, amygdala. So if you take your finger and just kind of push it into the very back of your brain, right back there, and you were to drill in like an inch or so, don't ever do that. If you were to drill in there, you would hit your amygdala. So amygdala is Latin for almond, and it's a little tiny dude that lives in the back of your brain, and it was the first part of our brain that was made when humans came on the planet. It's in charge of survival. So all of our big, hard emotions, anger, sadness, fear, frustration, overwhelm, start in our amygdala, in the back part of our brain. So fast forward to the prefrontal cortex. It's right back here, right behind our eyes. This is the part of the brain that evolved as humans grew, and this is the part of the brain that keeps us human. It's in charge of executive functioning, so all of those things like organizing, getting somewhere on time, doing all your assignments, studying for tests. It's in charge of solving problems. And it's in charge of like focus, concentration, kindness, all of those really human traits. So the hallmark of somebody with a really healthy brain is somebody who is able to feel their emotions in the back part of their brain and then pretty quickly throw it forward to the front part of their brain, to their prefrontal cortex. And in that person with a really healthy brain, they have like a neural pathway that goes from the back to the front. So if you were to look at the brains of these elite athletes, you would see that their amygdala is probably quite small and their prefrontal cortex is quite large, and that they have a really strong default neural pathway or highway from the back of the brain to the front of the brain, so that when the big stressful thing happens, they're able to pretty quickly push it forward to the front part of their brain. So, in my research, I narrowed it down to 3 things. There's a whole whack of things, but we're going to talk about just 3 things that elite athletes do in order to train their brains and deal with stress. So, number 1, they train their brain. Before they're in a stressful moment, they've already done the work to grow that neural pathway in the back of the brain. Number 2, they flip the script. So for an athlete, professional athlete, stress equals energy and fuel. And number 3, they ignite resilience. They have the ability to say to themselves, I've been here before, maybe not this exact situation, and I'm going to do it again. So then the question becomes, how do the rest of us weave all of that into our everyday lives so that maybe stress isn't harmful, maybe we can use it as energy. So let's dig in. Number 1, train the brain. So pretty much every professional sports organization on the planet has some kind of mindfulness, meditation, visualization program. And the point of that is to help these athletes grow that really strong neural pathway. So how do the rest of us do that? We're going to practice just one activity together to see if we can kind of start that process going. So can everyone stand up? You can give yourself a good stretch if you need. Awesome. Okay, so we're going to do an exercise where we count backwards from 20. We're going to go 20 to 1. Every time your mind wanders onto something else, you got to go back to 20. Cool? Cool. Once you get 1, hit 1, you can sit down. All right, close your eyes. And go. Quietly. Do it quietly. You do it inside your head. I love the really honest people who are still standing in the crowd. Awesome. All right, so that is a little bit harder than we actually think it's going to be because our mind pulls us all over the place. The cool thing about doing something like that is every time you bring your mind back to the counting exercise, you're growing the neural pathway from the back of your brain to the front of your brain. So it's actually kind of like a gift every time you have to remind yourself to come back to the numbers. So that's one really simple way to train the brain. The next thing is flip the script. So everyone talks about mindset, and I think I always discounted mindset as this just stupid thing, like, oh, I just have to change my mind. Actually, it's pretty powerful, the ability to just change our minds. So if you look at a stress response in a human, let's just take 3 things that happen. Number 1, pupils dilate. Number 2, our palms get sweaty. Number 3, our heart starts to beat really fast. So when these things happen to me, I don't know about you guys, when they happen to me, I realize that I'm stressed out. And I think, oh, okay, I got to get rid of the stress. My heart's beating, my palms are sweaty, what's happening? And then I do whatever I need to do to get rid of the stress. In an athlete, let's take those 3 things. So you take Trey Savage, starting pitcher for the Blue Jays last night. He's got bases loaded. The next pitch that he's going to throw could change the whole game. change the whole momentum of the game. Dodgers could take the lead, could be a total catastrophe. So his pupils dilate so that he can throw that ball exactly where he wants it to go. So that's a gift to him. His palms get sweaty so that he can grip the ball and throw the slider exactly where he wants it to go. And his heart starts to beat really fast because that means blood is being pumped to his extremities so that he can execute that pitch that he has practiced thousands and thousands of times. So in the elite athlete, they're using the stress response as a challenge response. Athletes see stress as fuel and energy, and in a stress response that's fight, flight, or freeze, they are actively choosing fight. The third thing is ignite resilience. So we all know what resilience is, right? It's the ability to get up and keep doing things, to work through hardship. It's actually grit, basically. But I think what happens to us as humans is that every single time we solve something, we just keep moving. We just go, 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 go. We never stop and say to ourselves, hey, I just solved that. That's pretty freaking cool. So what we want to try to do as humans, I think, is try to build a resilience reserve so that every time we solve something, whatever it is, homework assignment, being able to pay your rent, whatever it is, we're actually building blocks of resilience so that when hard stuff happens, we can rely on the tools that we have learned during that process. So 3 things: train the brain, flip the script, ignite resilience. So let's go back to my friend and our cup of coffee. If she had been able to practice those 3 things before her terrible, stressful year, she might have been able to perceive her year in a different way. So number 1, her dad died. So if she had been able to flip the script on her dad dying, instead of it being this huge, stressful event that she never actually got over, maybe she would have had the ability to say something like, yes, my dad died. He was in his 70s. He had cancer. And he died with all of his family sitting around his bedside, holding his hand. It was a beautiful October day, and he was at peace. The second one, she lost her job. That sucks, absolutely. But if she had been able to ignite her resilience around that, maybe she could have told herself that she's been through really hard things before. She's lost jobs, absolutely, and she's dealt with lots of hardships in her life. She would realize that she has actually already built the tools to deal with that. She is resourceful. She has a ton of connections. She's creative. She's smart. She's already got all of those things to be able to move beyond that hard and stressful thing. And then the last thing, the really hard one, her husband overdosing and being woken up by paramedics. He's fine, by the way. They're both fine. If she had been able to proactively, so before any of this happened, train her brain so that when this terrible, awful thing happened, she would feel it in the back part of her brain. So she would feel the big hard emotions, stress, worry, anger, and feel them in an appropriate way. I'm not saying ignore those things. Those things need to be felt. But if she had that really strong neural pathway from the back of the brain to the front of the brain, she would have maybe been able to get to that front part of her brain sooner so that they could figure out solutions to the problems and that she would have a lasting patience for dealing with whatever needed to happen. Stress isn't going anywhere. We all know this. It keeps us safe. It highlights what's important to us. It gives us a boost of adrenaline when we need to do something important. But maybe it's the perception of stress that actually is harming us. Maybe it's me thinking, oh, I'm in a stress response. I better figure out this stress before it hurts my mental and physical health. That's the problem. Maybe there's a way to be less stressed about the stress. And maybe, like elite athletes, we're able to harness the benefits of stress in order to perceive things in a different way. And maybe we're able to build a scaffolding where we train the brain, flip the script, and ignite resilience in order to live a more meaningful world full of everlasting grit. Thank you.